Hello, keyholders, and welcome back to another episode of Top 250. Today, just like last time, we are going to be playing through our life. Last time we played, we went through the end of the basic scenarios for step 1, and we are now moving on and we did the shopping district where we got to see a magician with Aura and Cove. Got shopping, got ourselves a little keychain, and are going to go and spend some time before a dolphin exploded. If you want context for that, watch the previous episode. But yeah, today we are going to be going through probably the grown-up and the long day phases, or memories and moments, I think they're called in this game. And yeah, I'll shut my mouth and get the story started, but I'll just pop in here and there to make a few comments. So let's start with grown up, I think is what we're gonna go with. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of the birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you along with Lizzie to play amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mommy, so your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. Then suddenly, a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes, and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Yeah, that's why she's the bubbly one. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyway. They're always inside and telling everybody they're too busy to play. God, how true that is. I mean, even playing video games, I'm doing this, so...
Why?
Why?
Duh.
I said why. It'll be fun. Duh. What do they do inside that we don't, besides use the phone a lot? Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore Kev.
What do you think?
Aura, what do you think? Do you want to? I don't know. I don't know. Please, Aura. When have I ever had a bad idea? Whenever we play with you. I wasn't asking you. I'll try it, but that sounds boring. Okay, I'll stay. I hope this is as fun as you're promising it'll be. Lizzie looked at you, deadly serious. It's the most exciting idea I've had all week. Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. After a few seconds, she clapped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something without asking either of you. Okay, I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Or you and Cove can be a beach volleyball player and a gymnast or a tennis player. Why can't we pick anything we want? Because I have a fun idea, that's why. And we have to play sports as adults. Yep. There's some other kind of sports too. I'm betting Cove said that last thing. Well, Lizzie said it now.
Right?
It isn't the same. What do you think, Aura? Don't those choices sound super cool? You want to be that, huh? Isn't there anything else we can be? Lizzie stomped a foot on the ground. Nope, come on, just decide already. Knowing Lizzie wouldn't let this go anytime soon, you sighed. Cove was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude, though he didn't bother talking anymore about it for now. You thought over the list of possibilities: beach volleyball, gymnastics, or tennis. Out of all of them, you preferred to play... gymnastics. I mean, that's the closest. I feel like I'm like I keep saying it, but I'm this nerdy girl. I feel like gymnastics is the closest to like martial arts or something like that. Something that would be more like fun. Feels more like a nerdy thing. Maybe tennis is. I don't know. I'm recording videos on YouTube for gaming. I'm not a sports player. If you couldn't spend the afternoon doing cartwheels and handstands in the backyard, then you might as well practice them inside. There wouldn't be as much space as there was outside, but you could still try. Yes, that was clearly the top option. I guess I'll be a gymnast. Alright. How about you, Cove? I pick volleyball. I should have known. Okay, so Aura, you're a famous gymnast, and Cove, you're on a popular beach volleyball team, and Lizzie's ponytail bobbed when she proudly stretched her arms wide. We're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics. Cove didn't seem at all that impressed with the announcement. He made a face and adjusted the glasses on his nose. That's really specific.
Rude.
That's what makes it fun. Anyway, Lizzie marched back and forth in front of the both of you, getting lost in her own imagination. I won all the gold medals, and people are calling me the next Mickey Wright. Who's that? Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on her brown eyes shining with impatience. Doesn't matter if you know who she is, it's a golf thing. You guys won medals. You guys won medals too! No, your team was bronze, and Aura, you barely missed out on the gold and got silver. It's more real if we're not all first place. Ooh, you definitely are an older sister. Silver's not bad. Nice. May not be the first place, but you knew that silver medals were still really good to get at the Olympics. But it isn't gold.
Sorry.
Lots of people lose at the Olympics. Them's the breaks. Then you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken aback by Cove's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was completely absurd. No way that would make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball. So what kind of house do you want to live in? Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he'd live as an adult appealed to him, apparently because he looked back at Lizzie with some of the anger fading. I'm going to live on the beach. Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue. It's kind of boring. We already have that. No, not like the normal houses. We're here with a street on it, right on the sand, by the water. Just like that, all the tension was back. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you would want to live. That's not very fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on a bunch of sand and shells. But I want to, and will. Cove narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half a head taller than him. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking... You didn't give out a I gotta read it in Cove's voice. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if we can't imagine anything? Jeez. Well, I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here, and far from you. One with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing.
It's not fair.
You were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible. Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands balling into fists at her side. It's not impossible, it's better than yours. Disagreements always seemed to crop up when the two of them were together. You always felt like you were stuck in the middle. But when it came to the topic at hand, this time you thought, being on the beach is cooler. Being on the beach is cooler. But wouldn't want to leave on the beach. It'd be great. You could have windows made from driftwood and seashells, seashell wind chimes. Ugh. He smiled slightly over the agreement, then turned to Lizzie with bolstered confidence. You can swim whenever you want if you live on the beach. We can still swim anytime we want where we live now. Being a little closer doesn't mean anything, says you. The two of them scowled at you. You're being so unreasonable. You... I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense. It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. but you're not. You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Nothing you'd said so far had kept them from being mad. Thankfully, like a greeting card angel, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed to her, hanging on to the hem of her shirt and poking out her tongue at Cove. Lizzie, Aura, it's time to get ready to go. Sorry you have to leave already, Cove. The mommy said she'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. Cove was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed with red anger. I can go by myself. But... Bye, Aura. There was still a harsh edge to the brief farewell, but you knew it wasn't you he was mad at. Without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and talked out of the room. Stalked, not talked. Stalked out of the... Talked, he just freaking starts saying walk, step, 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 step. Up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight.
Huh?
Okay. Worried, Mom turned down to look down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? You told the truth. We were fighting, Cove and Lizzie, for the whole time. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as Mom put both hands on her hips. Elizabeth! I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown. No, I tried, but he was... No buts. Both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hugged her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her. Ugh. That's never a good thing. Okay, Mom. Good girl. Caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. Ah, right. We better get a move on. Let's go, kids. Nolani, where did you leave the car keys? Oh, so that's what my other mother's name is. Nolani. Mom hustled you all out the door. You noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Your parents know she wasn't in a mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you'd like to listen to. You chose a song you knew Lizzie would liked. Maybe that would cheer her up. She is my sister, and I know that I'm not a selfish kid. I've kind of established that, so I'm going to pick a song that I think would cheer up my sister. In this case, I think she kind of... I know she was fighting, but we're kids. We kind of get caught up in our own emotions, so... You were happy to see it brightened her up right away. She started singing along with you. Soon enough, her bad mood was a thing of the past. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hours watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that she really liked it, so you sat with her moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched your legs to let the last few minutes of the sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant you had all been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting you hadn't been able to stop. But you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from the silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew what was coming when you all got back home. Clearly, she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto your street, then reversing into the driveway. Once she cut the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes. She propped her hands on her hips.
So?
Now then, Mr. Holden's car is in his driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight, her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone else's eyes. She nodded. Good, let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, the rest of you following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulders as they walked by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. You hadn't liked doing it, but had to. It's important to tell the truth. I know a white lie is a good thing sometimes, but but in most cases, it's probably better to tell the truth. You heard it here, kids. Telling the truth is the best thing in most situations. There are times when lying is important, but not in the most dangerous situations. Or when situations where lying will probably save a lot more headache. Being a tattletale didn't feel good, but you wouldn't want someone else to tell your moms everything you did. Still, your mom had asked directly, and you wanted to be a liar. The four of you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. You remember the number for Cove's house. Don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod. Sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and began to dial. Mom reached over and pressed a button on the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. The phone rang a couple of times and stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through the other end. Evening, Holden residents. Lizzie looked over at Mom. Mommy, unsure. She nodded, encouraging. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's, Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove? Lizzie Brogard? What a surprise. But of course, you can say hey to the boy. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything. Her arms crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff. Nolani. Aura and I are here too. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. Hello. Hi. The gang's all here, huh? Something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, it's going to be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We were hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove? What? A fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when I came home. Does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good you didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you. There was some shuffling on the other end. He must not have gone far, because you could still hear him calling out. Cove! There's someone on the phone for you! For a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you. Right. Aura's on the other end listening too. Don't you want to say hi? Took a bit of back and forth, though the conversation seemed one-sided, since you couldn't hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from Dad.
Hi.
Hello? Hello? Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know. Dad told me. Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away. Yeah, the mother death stare will get ya.
Sorry.
I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable, apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too, because he sighed quietly. I want gold, and I think Aura should win too. Really? Really? You thought you were worth gold? Though you hadn't even wanted it? Lizzie was momentarily stunned, silent by the demand. She probably forgot that had even happened already. Alright, we all win gold. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mama uncrossed her arms, while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. He wondered if she thought that he'd refuse her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really. Yeah, you can go back to your room, if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first, though. Bye, Lizzie. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Aura. He perked up at the mention of your name. He smiled, even if he couldn't see it. Bye, Cove. Bye, Cove. With that said, Cove must have handed the phone to his dad and left, since Mr. Holden spoke up. All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hand to catch her attention. Can I go now, too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Cove. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned the phone, taking it off the speaker. They continued talking to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about. You were glad that was the end of it all. Lizzie and Cove might not get along, and probably still won't, but they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your room with a spring in your step. Okay. I kind of liked that. It was kind of like... I thought it was just going to be a playdate thing, but it kind of ended up being more of like a... accepting thing, accepting what you've done and trying to, like, get forgiveness for it, or give forgiveness to another, apologize. Glad that was a moment. Gosh. I don't know if I will, but I'm debating getting the DLC and recording it as well, because this story is really good, and I wouldn't mind having more of the story. I'll decide. If in episode 4 we have the DLC, that'll be cool, and we'll be able to get a whole thing done. I'll have to do some research first, though, and see if it's going to reset my story if I do get the DLC, so we'll take it. Let's check on it. But for now, like I said, we're going to complete Long Day, and then in the next episode we will complete Sandcastle and Fireflies, so let's go ahead and do that. It was another scorching summer day. The kind where no sooner had you finished one cup of water, you were already filling it up again. Everyone else had something on, so that afternoon, just you and Shiloh. This didn't happen much, especially since Cove had arrived. Without Lizzie around, Shiloh looked to you for all the answers. It made you feel... pleased. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You might not be in double digits like your sister, but he was only 7. Being the oldest and getting to be the leader was a nice change of pace. You drained another drink and frowned at the empty vessel. Your thirst was gone, but you still craved something icy cold and refreshing. Something sweet. Something like... If it were me, and I was that age, I'd want an ice cream sandwich. Popsicles are good now that I'm older, but yeah, ice cream sandwich is great at that age. Chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, sign me up. You craved soft ice cream sandwiched between 2 cookies. There was nothing like that to be found at home. You knew that without needing to look. Your moms didn't keep sweets in the house. Oh, come on. Outside, there were plenty of places where such goodies could be attained, but they were shops and demanded payment in exchange for their products. You sighed. As much as you really wanted that treat, it wasn't going to happen. What's wrong? What's wrong? I want an ice cream sandwich. Shiloh, who had been draped over the sofa, perked up.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. Shiloh's not my sister. That's Lizzie. It hasn't even been that long.
That sounds great. We don't have any here, and I don't have any money. Oh, let me check if I have any.
Oh, that was me speaking. Oh well. Cholo rummaged in his backpack and proudly produced an assortment of coins, plus one stray button. You set the button aside and counted the coins in neat piles. Just over $1, you announced this to Cholo. He had almost certainly come to the same conclusion, but he'd been watching you expectantly. I don't think it's not enough. That seems very negative. I think it's a start.
It's a start.
Cholo beamed at you.
We'll need to find some more. Okay.
The two of you lifted couch cushions, stuck tiny hands down deep crevices in the sofa and under furniture, and scoured the back of drawers. Most of what you found was useless or gross, bent paper clips, fluffy wisps of dust or sandy crumbs. But every so often one of you would strike silver or bronze and add it to the growing pile of things. Dusty and disheveled from checking every room and squinting into every tiny nook, the two of you finished pulling your finds. Cholo held his breath as you counted the coins once again.
$2.53 and 2 buttons.
You didn't know when the second button had decided to join the party, but you were too pleased with your successful haul to throw it out.
Is that enough?
You figured he knew the answer, but you appreciated him recognizing your authority on financial and ice cream matters, of course. You straightened up before making your pronouncement.
Yeah, we got enough.
You could now afford something at the shops. Just one thing. But that was infinitely better than none. Cholo clapped his hands.
Yay!
The two of you dashed outside. The promise of sugar buoyed you on to your destination where, breathless but happy, you stared at the overwhelming number of options. You knew what you wanted, but it wasn't just you who had contributed to the funds to get the treat. You seemed to notice your pause.
Aren't you getting an ice cream sandwich?
Cholo asked as though he was entirely separate from the decision, rather than someone with a stake in the outcome.
Do you mind?
Cholo cocked his head to the side.
It was your idea. You should choose.
Are you sure, really? You tried to get something you both wanted anyway. It wasn't fair for you to be the one to decide when he'd been a main factor in making this happen. Some of the money came directly from his backpack.
What do you like? All of them. They're so good.
You pressed further.
But what do you really like? Popsicles or ice creams? Which is your favorite? Oh, it's so hard to pick. I don't know.
Frustrated, you cut to the heart of the matter.
You want me to choose? Yeah.
And that was that. You got the dessert you wanted originally, and hoped Cholo would actually like it too. Finally, the reward for all your hard work was in your hands. You bit the ice cream sandwich. The chewy chocolate biscuit complemented the creamy vanilla ice cream inside. It's not a Neapolitan one. Darn. You held it out to Cholo so he could take a turn. He shook his head.
You can finish it.
I'm not gonna voice that because he said it. Hell no. He didn't want any. Even after everything he did to get it? That was weird. But you tried to include Cholo. Even if Cholo said it was okay, every story you'd ever seen on TV or read in a book said that sharing was caring. You stood your ground, even as the treat started to trickle dangerously toward your fingers.
It's only fair that you have some. You both thought it. But you want it more than I do, and getting to play was a lot of fun already. So you can have it. That's more fair.
You held it out to him.
I want you to have some even more than I want to finish it, so eat your part.
Relenting, Cholo took the treat and gave it a taste. His eyes lit up.
It's really good. Thank you.
You smiled, pleased with your good deed. You picked the best.
You picked the best one.
Did he mean that? Cholo was always nice no matter what happened, even if he hated it. You knew he wouldn't say so. Maybe he thought it was gross, and that's the real reason why he didn't want to take some. You had no idea. You studied him as he ate a little more. He had every appearance of enjoying himself. Still weird. The two of you began to head back home as he ate. You walked in side by side on the shore in silence, but your thoughts kept drifting to the boy beside you. Why didn't he speak up for himself? It was almost as if Cholo didn't know how to say what he felt, or was too afraid.
Are we friends?
Shiloh opened his eyes wide, seemingly caught off guard by the blunt question. Hey, I'm antisocial, but bluntness is best.
Yeah, I think so.
He says that, but friends should be able to talk to each other without being scared. Shiloh wouldn't do that. Were you even really friends at all? He rubbed his hands together nervously over your non-reaction.
Sorry.
You weren't sure how sorry he could be without knowing that what he's even apologizing for, but you shook your head.
You didn't do anything.
It was true. Shiloh hadn't done something mean. He'd gone out of his way to make you happy. That didn't seem like it should be a bad thing. It bothered you.
I just don't know if you like me. It's like it doesn't matter what I do. You're gonna act the same. I could be anybody and wouldn't care. No, I like you. I really, really like you, Aura. I want to be friends.
Okay. You smiled hesitantly at him. His fidgeting ceased, even though you weren't sure if you believed him. This was only making it worse. You decided that maybe there were all types of friends. If Shiloh wasn't able to do things differently, this would have to be alright. Shiloh made you unsure about setting a label on the experience of spending an afternoon with just him. There had been good times, and there had been confusing ones. You were positive of one thing: at least the treat was delicious, and that was nice. The sun was low on the horizon as you returned to your neighborhood. There you spotted two very familiar figures up ahead, Lizzie and Cove. You opened your mouth to make your presence known to them, just as you saw the tears on Cove's face. What the hell? You walked straight over, Shiloh at your heels. Once there, you carefully asked about what happened. It's best not to judge. I'm not really a joker. Without a time machine, the only way you were going to find out was by asking the witnesses. Lizzie might have done something, but she could have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, or even come to Cove's aid. You wanted to hear the story.
Cove, what happened?
I got yelled at. Took a deep breath, steadying breath. Some grandparents got mad at me.
Sorry.
Lizzie jerked her head in the direction of a nearby house. Your heart sunk. You knew exactly what had happened. Every year, the same mean old couple rented out that condo for the summer. You, Lizzie, and Shiloh knew to stay away from them, but Cove couldn't have.
I don't like that with everyone.
Even your mom struggled to find anything nice to say about them, but the elderly pair particularly took offense to kids. It doesn't matter if they were really nice, like Cove. Yeah, Lizzie said. Lizzie drew herself up at that. She looked pointedly in your direction.
I was helping. It's cool. Is there anything I can do?
No, I'm just gonna stay away.
Or you could teach them a lesson.
There was a devilish glint in her eyes. What?
You should ding-dong ditch them. Go, ring the doorbell, and run. It'll be great because they're slow. They'll never catch you.
That's dumb. I don't want to go near them ever again.
You're saying that because you're a chicken.
Cove glared, but didn't take the bait. Lizzie turned to you.
You're not a chicken, are you?
I kind of... I don't want to think they deserved worse. I also don't want to tease Cove into doing something he doesn't want to do. I also feel like, I don't know, as a kid, there needs to be some bad with the good. Like, I get I'm a nerd, and that I'll do it.
Really?
You took a deep breath and nodded. Lizzie squealed with delight.
Well, go hide. Run as soon as you hit the bell. Good luck!
Lizzie and Shiloh ran across the road to take shelter in the bushes. Even once they settled down, you could make out two child-sized shapes staring from between the leaves. You knew where to look for them, though, and so you told yourself that the grouchy old people wouldn't spot it. Cove sighed, his gaze flickering to the house then back at you. Be careful.
It'll be okay.
He gave the door. and you one last look before joining Lizzie and Shiloh in their hideaway. The weight of the 3 pairs of eyes on your back was heavier than anything you'd carried before as you approached the door. You hesitated as you reached for the doorbell, then you rang it. You slapped the buzzer and ran. Blood thumped against your eardrums with every step. Would you make it in time? Approaching the hiding spot, you knew there wasn't enough time to go around the bushes as the others had done. You took a shortcut, leaping up for them, or to be more accurate, crashing into the tops of the bushes, then falling over to the other side. Cove quietly hissed at you as you unwittingly collided with him, but by the way his arms were out, it seemed he had intentionally tried to cushion your landing. Shh! Lizzie put a finger onto her lips and nodded at the house. You disentangled from your limbs from Cove's and spun around to see the old man framed in the doorway, peering back and forth suspiciously. You covered your mouths with your hands, but it wasn't enough to stifle your giggles. Maybe he spotted one of you, or maybe it was the leaves you displaced while jumping. You locked eyes with the bush and stormed over in your direction. Shiloh gasped and looked to Lizzie. Run! Your sister did not hesitate to take her own advice. Neither did Shiloh. You got up, but seeing Shiloh struggling to extract himself and stand up with just the one fully functional arm, you gave him a hand up before taking off after the others. The old man's hollows propelled you all from the street to the sanctity of the hill. Only once you were safe did you notice the stitch in your chest and the ache of your legs. You flopped down, the blades of grass tickling your face. Lizzie, who had taken the lead in the end, was already laying on the ground. The 4 of you took a moment to catch your breath, enjoying the feeling of cool grass against your skin. I honestly thought that was going to go worse. I thought I had to make a choice to either stay with Cove or run. I'm glad it kind of was just me picking up Cove.
Cove.
Hey, Cove!
Cove lifted his head.
I tell you, there were mean grandparents around here.
Cove rolled his eyes, then decided this wasn't dismissive enough and rolled his whole body away from your sister. Lizzie chose to ignore his response and started chatting to Shiloh, who eagerly joined in the conversation. In the back of your mind, you knew you'd be second fiddle again to Shiloh once Lizzie came around. It always went like that. And it was fine. They're best friends, and I have Cove. I'm okay with that. Shiloh could prefer Lizzie as much as he wanted to. There were other things to attend to anyway. You wriggled closer to Cove. He had calmed down for the most part and was inspecting a flower. His fingers pinched the stem and tilted the white petals toward him.
That's a poppy.
Cove glanced at you in acknowledgement, then back to the flower. I'm glad the game's kind of fulfilling the kind of nerdy vibe I gave the character. I wonder if that's because of the choices I made, or if that's just how the game normally goes.
And the type of poppies on this hill have the name White Lilin Poppy. Mom told me.
Ah, never mind. He quirked a smile. That's funny. He ran a finger around the edge of the petals. Doesn't feel like cloth. You need a lot of them to make anything. He nodded and released the delicate plant. Evaluation complete. This is my favorite kind of flower, but I didn't know what it was called. Thanks. Oh my god! The choices! Snapdragons, hibiscuses, peonies. I like all flowers. Orchids are the most special. I'd pick tulips. I love sunflowers. I kind of want to type my own answer. Ooh, I do like orchids. I want to put lavender, because lavender is like my actual favorite flower. But I'm going to put in orchids, because I think orchids are... Because I feel like picking one of the actual choices is going to result in something later in the story, rather than typing my own answer. So I'm going to pick orchids are the most special.
Those flowers are super fancy and come in all sorts of colors and stuff. Some even pretend to be like bugs.
They do?
Yep, they trick real bugs by looking like one.
Oh, you know everything.
Not everything, but thanks.
You moved onto your back with a small smile and looked at the darkening sky. The blanket of clouds reminded you of a thick throw you curled under on cold, rainy days. You wondered if the clouds would be as soft They lazily floated on by, splitting from each other, merging and morphing to new shapes. You saw a dolphin. You saw a dolphin leaping through the sky. You nudged Cove and pointed to it. I feel like that's very on point.
Look, a dolphin.
Cove joined you in gazing skyward. Yeah, I see it.
Really?
No, but I like dolphins.
Hey.
He chuckled at your reaction. All the sun's light faded from the sky. The moon rose higher. Lizzie got to her feet, dusting strands of grass from her bare legs, and surveyed her surroundings. The ocean, visible from the crest of the hill, beckoned with every sweep of the tide.
Let's go to the beach.
There was no argument from the other two. Shalot was still Shalot, and Cove would never say no to going to the shore. He was a child of the sea. You wanted to go there too. So you eagerly joined the others in descending the hill down to the water. You stepped onto the sand for the second time that day, but it felt different at night. The beach was nearly quiet at this hour. Abandoned sandcastles and footsteps in the sand, too big to belong to any of you, were the only indication of how busy it had been only hours earlier. The four of you kicked shoes off and removed socks and walked along the water's edge. The waves tickled your feet.
I wonder what would happen if you tried to take a bath in the ocean with shampoo and everything.
That would be bad for the fish.
Jeez.
I didn't say anyone would do it. Jeez, you don't have to be serious about everything.
You're the one who asked what would happen. That is what would happen. It hurt the fishies.
I like baths at home. They're a lot of fun. Me too. Bubble baths are luxurious.
You'd never heard Lizzie use that word before.
Mommy loves to have bubbles in her bath. She'll turn the lights off, have candles. I'm gonna do that next time. Hey, when's your mom coming to pick you up? Anyway, not for a while. She's busy.
What about your dad? How come you never talk about him? Nobody does.
Don't you know? You're not supposed to ask something like that. Why would somebody want to talk about something they never talk about?
You kept your eyes on the ground, watching your toes get swallowed up by the waves. Even Shalot never seemed upset when this topic came up. It made you feel awkward just for having both of your moms.
It's okay. I'm like Lizzie and Aura. I don't have a dad. But I don't have two moms. I just have one. She's really great.
Oh, sorry. I only have one now, too. My mom isn't here. She's back home. It's just my dad with me.
Sorry.
Oh, I never had a dad or anything, so I don't feel bad. It's really sad that your mom is gone.
Cove nodded. Shalot, he made a joke earlier. I'm gonna tell this. You joked about Shalot's mom getting together with Cove's dad. You didn't have anything comforting to say to that, so you tried to lighten the mood instead.
Hey, since you both only have one parent, Ko's dad could marry Shalot's mom, then you two would be brothers.
Cove stopped abruptly, his face set hard.
No.
My dad isn't going to do that. Shalot tugged at the rim of his hat.
Neither is my mom. She doesn't want to marry anybody. I told people this wasn't a good idea to talk about.
Seemed your plan backfired, and the mood soured even more. You didn't know what to do. The silence broke with a splash of liquidity kicked in your direction. Cold water and sodden sand splattered against your legs. Lizzie giggled, but outstretched from the kick. Cove joined in, striking the incoming waves to make a splash of his own. Shalot scurried out of Cove's spray zone with a grin. You retaliated! You used your foot to smack the water pulling around you, sending an arc of sea foam flying back onto your sister. You laughed as she sputtered some of the salty water having landed in her mouth. She spat it out.
Yuck!
Lizzie chased you, intent on revenge. You dashed up and down the coast, taking it in turns to be the predator and the prey, as well as joining forces to take down Shalot or Cove. Alliances were silently forged and wordlessly broken. Everything was fair game in war.
Ah!
Shiloh's brief exclamation was drowned out by the biggest splash yet, causing him falling face first into the ground. That would have been bad enough without the wave that followed, cascading over his prone body. Shiloh sat up, shaking his head like a dog coming in from the rain. As you all hurried over to check him, his hair was plastered to his head, and his soaked clothes clung. If there was any part of him that was still dry, you couldn't see it.
That was crazy. Are you okay? Yeah, my foot got stuck and I fell over. Way to go, Shiloh, you dumbo.
You offered him some help up. Shiloh didn't take your outstretched hand after a moment. You dropped it. Lizzie was too busy snickering to notice, and held her hand out to Shiloh too. He reached over and took it. He has a crush on her. He reached over and took it. Slowly, he started to pull himself from the ground. Then he slipped on the slick sand, dragging him and Lizzie down just in time for another wave to hit. He was trying to trick her. The water rolled over them.
Sorry.
Sorry.
What were the odds of that happening twice in a row? You thought they must be low. But there's no way Shiloh would do something like that on purpose, then pretend it was an accident. Especially not to Lizzie. Even if your relationship with Shiloh felt unclear, he did at least like her a lot. Lizzie was his favorite, right? Smiling boldly, Lizzie extracted herself from the ground and wiped a streak of sand from her cheek. She didn't intend to let this embarrass her. Shiloh got up again as well, this time without incident. He still looked like a drowned puppy, but that didn't stop Cove laughing at the two of them. With that, it was time to call it a day. The four of you made the journey back home, leaving a trail of wet footsteps and sand in your wake. Damp clothes may have weighed down some of the group, but your spirits were high. Your arms swung side to side as a cool breeze flowed past. Your moms were outside chatting to Cove's dad.
We're back!
Your mom's faces fell as they took in the state you all were in, ranging from messy to soaked.
No.
Elizabeth, is that all you have to say for yourself? You brought half the beach back with you.
They certainly did. What's Marigold going to do when she comes to get Shiloh? Is that here you want him to be for the long drive home? Cold and filthy?
Lizzie's expression turned sulky over the scolding. Being the oldest could be fun, but it also meant she was the first to get in trouble when something went wrong. I feel like that's something that's normal, unfortunately. The older child usually kind of gets the brunt of the responsibility. They're kind of made to look after the younger children, which is probably why they kind of get a I'm the head attitude, which has its ups and downs. I feel like they should have talked to each kid equally, but it's a story. I'm just going to continue forward. As he ruffled Cove's matted hair. You've been out, making memories, huh, bucko? I'm glad you had a good time with your friends. Cove used his slightly moist cast arm to push his dad off. Mr. Holden's eyes widened when he noticed even that had gotten wet. Now he was worried too. I think they could have found a less risky way to spend time, and had just as much fun. That might be right, kids. What can you do? Come on. Cove, let's go get you cleaned up and dried off. We wouldn't want that cast to have to be reset. Cove winced at the thought. Okay. That a boy. Mr. Holden casually bent down and plucked Cove up off the ground, ultimately holding Cove against his chest. Sand was already transferring from Cove onto him, but that didn't seem to bother Mr. Holden. Cove protested being carried, but only got a reassuring pat on the back for his trouble.
Take care.
Good night, Cove. Thank you for the talk, Cliff. Night, Brogard family. And Shiloh, too. Resigned to his fate, Cove twisted his body in his dad's arms in order to turn around and wave goodbye. Smiling, he returned a tiny, shy wave of your own.
Fine.
Well, we better do what we can to fix you guys up, too. Come on, everybody inside. I want you to march straight downstairs to the bathroom.
Ugh.
Yes, Mom.
Okay, Lizzie's mom.
Don't worry about stopping to wipe your feet on the mat this time. That won't do much good tonight. Sitting on an old beach towel your mommy had found, you waited in the hall until you were less sandy. You weren't allowed to go to your room or walk around the house, but you did get to eat a sandwich for dinner there. It felt like an indoor picnic. It had been decided that Shiloh would wash first and borrow some of your clothes. It was already finished and packed away in his mom's car. Not gonna do the meme. Miss Fields had come to collect him a little while ago. It was a bit of a funny experience seeing him without that hat on for once. Lizzie, being much more soaked than you, got to go in the tub next. It wasn't a bubble bath as she had hoped. This was a no fun allowed cleanup session. At least that's what she claimed. Not much longer, and it would be your turn. When the bath was done, you'd have to go right to bed. After a day like this, though, you were glad there weren't going to be any further events. Drifting off to sleep sounded like a great idea. Alrighty. And that is the end of a long day. I'm really happy with where the story's getting off. I feel like my character's coming out of their shell a bit more, so is Cove. Made a little bit of an oopsie there with the joke, but I kind of figured that'd be something that in the moment she would do, Aura would do. But yeah, for right now, I guess I'll just end this episode here for you all. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and for now, I'm going to close the door on this one.